Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. After 171.4 hours of streaming, I was able to finally beat Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader, which amazingly didn't feel that long. A lot of long games can feel like you're running through quicksand in order to get to your destination. This game doesn't feel that way because you get story elements as you travel through the expanse. That means you don't have to get to a specific place in order to get an event or some alone time with different characters. And just like the last game that Alucard released, you can also romance your companions. Well, a select amount of them. I wouldn't be able to tell you which companions are romanceable since it could count as a spoiler. Why is romanceable like okay? Roman cable? That romanceable isn't a word, but Roman cable is a word. That's funny as hell. Like, why is that a phrase in the first place? I did have fun with my romance companion, even though I did romance two people. So I read a post on Reddit that you could romance more than one person. I'm going to tell you that you can, but at a certain point, you have to select someone. I was sad because I like both those companions. It was sad I couldn't just have them both, but we do. Also, during dialogue in certain parts in the game, you won't be able to save. So, you won't be able to save scum dialogue options like you are used to in Baldur's Gate 3. So, I guess we should talk about gameplay and what to look forward to when you decide to play it. So, we're playing a CRPG. That means you are playing turn based. That means you have a set amount of moves you can make and also how many attacks you can do. Most characters allow one attack move, and then you have buffs and debuffs that can be used as long as you have enough action points. When it comes to my class, Blade Dancer, I was able to do a leap, which can be used as a gap closer, a move called Blade Dance, which is a double-edged sword type of move. The reason I say that is because the move only activates if you are near an enemy or ally. It means you can hit anyone that is close to you. So try to position your characters so you hit no ally. You have your actual attack. It means you attack multiple times before using your basic attack. Also, Blade Dance is great because you do more attacks if you are dual wielding blades. I tend to like two-handers more because you get to do more damage, but dual is better when you are surrounded by enemies. This game kind of follows the logic that enemies come in big groups because you will see more enemies than you will see allies in a fight. In my Rogue Trader intro video, I talked about how I had 4 frontline and 2 backline characters in the fight, but truthfully, I usually change. I did change up one character when I beat the game, but kind of regret it since they didn't add any unique dialogue for being there. Kind of wish you could switch companions without having to go to the ship where we deal with the hand we are dealt. Again, combat is turn-based, and you have a limited amount of action points to attack, so use it, and then try to set up buffs and debuffs with the rest. Weapons are kind of a weird topic for me because I could only really use blades, so no axes, just swords and daggers. Now, don't burn me at the stake, but I did use the forbidden weapons, and no, I don't mean any blade weapons in Saints Row. I started to learn the lore of what is known to be heresy. That is the Xenos weapons. If you know your lore, or if you played this game, you would know that anything Xenos is considered heresy. It means that people will hate you for using Xeno weapons. Not. Truly speaking, no one actually says anything about the type of weapons you wield, but mainly about the campaigns and actions you decide to do around the expanse. Now, the Xeno weapons kind of slap because they tend to do a ton of damage and usually deal toxic damage. Now, you can use them without worry that people will look at you with disdain, but beware, disdain will forever be on your dogmatic heart. I don't believe I ended the game with any Xeno weapons, but were weapons from the DLC that included the Blade Dancer class. Now, armor wasn't really the best for this light armor wear, and I could really only use the armor I got from the DLC. Sad thing is that the best light armor comes from Xenos, but you aren't even able to wear it. The reason for that is because their physique is different from a human's body, so you wouldn't really be able to put it on. The reason I say that is because the armor is basically melded onto you, that's essentially hooked into your skin. I would guess it is so that it is a tight fit, but most likely there is another reason. Now, the reason I was sad that you couldn't wear it was because you would collect a ton of Xenos armor that would have no benefit. Now, the heavy armor was amazing and had so much variety, but I guess when you go light, you just need to dodge and not worry about the low armor rating. There's also accessories, which includes your headpiece or helmet, which helps a lot, but I was lazy and barely changed much. But I definitely look at the new accessories you pick up while traveling and change them out while you play. Okay, so I would love to say leveling up is this easy thing that doesn't take much thinking, but I'd be lying to you. When you level up, you will either get the choice to change how your ultimate works, how your abilities work, learn new abilities, and also add points to your characteristics. The weird thing is that you will tend to level a lot. Like I would level, and then a few minutes later, I would level again. I feel like the reason for leveling so much is so you can get through your first archetype and start your second one. Leveling up in your archetype tree reinforces your first archetype, which I feel like I messed up because I didn't really understand all that I was reading. But truthfully, I still had a pretty good build because what I could understand still wasn't bad enough to tank my build. There was a point when I could add a modifier to gain full health to my Blade Dancer once I did my ult, but I opted out for damage. That worked out until I was targeted and, well, didn't have any way to get my health up, so I was readable. Then again, I was only full of regret a handful of times for not taking that addition to my ult. So holding isn't really a thing because you do get med packs, but because of its short range, there isn't really a reason to use it for combat. I truthfully just use it to heal injuries that your characters can get from getting too low or dying. Also, there's another way to get injuries, which is to fail disarming a trap or getting hit by a trap. Weird thing is that I only get fresh injuries and not old injuries, and there's a reason I mention this. Fresh injuries don't really cause you any harm. They're easily remedied by using a med kit. Because I've never gotten old injuries, I can only assume what happens. There's probably a debuff that decreases your characteristic. I'm only hypothesizing because you can also get other debuffs by dying, and there's usually a broken wrist, which can increase your weapon skill by 10, another thing as well. Weapon skills being the stat that helps with your close range skills. There's a character that has a heal, which I didn't know about until I used them for their personal mission. You kind of miss out on characters' personal skills when you stick to a certain party, which hurts, but it just means you can discover another playthrough. So let's talk about something that isn't as fun to do, but is a big part of the game: traveling. So I'll just come out and say that the ship building, well, void ship management is trash. I say that because when you upgrade your parts, there isn't a visual change. You're also stuck with the same void ship. The reason why I say worse is that you start off with a frigate, which you think makes all the sense until you meet the other rogue traders that have bigger ships than you. The other thing is, it makes sense as your ship would start off small if you're just a beginning rogue trader. But the logic is tossed on its head. You are told that the ship has been in your family for years. This frigate that a rogue trader owns, that's smaller than the other ships, has been owned by a prodigious family. Truthfully speaking, a lot of people online dislike that you couldn't upgrade the size of the ship, but I was more bothered about not being to upgrade it visually. I understand why there wasn't much visual void ship customization, but it's most likely because this isn't a shipbuilder game. It's a CRPG that focuses on story. All your customizations focus on your character and their archetypes. The problems with that logic is that the void ship is your home, and truthfully, you will see it more than you will see your character. Bad thing is that you can't customize that home at all and make it to your liking. In the game, you're flying your ship through expanse half of your playthrough, so you seeing your unchanging frigate could be sad. You also have ship battles, so you'll see your damage and your abilities enhance as time goes on. Oh yes, there is ship leveling in this game as well. That means you'll learn new abilities to help you in ship combat. Is there a reason to change how your ship looks, even though you can upgrade your ship's abilities and also the ship component? Truthfully, no. There is no reason to do that, but it would add a lot to your playthrough. The reason I say that is because you could add parts from different factions in the game by how high in favorability you are. Your ship could also be shaped based on your decisions with the planets you are in charge of. I feel like there is so much potential when it comes to ships and the customization because everything could flow together fluidly. I gave a good amount of examples because I have thought about this a lot since you could get a really interesting ship look based on your decisions, and it wasn't included. About planets and that you're in charge of a few, well, it is within your protectorate. As a rogue trader, you're in charge of certain systems, and like everything else in the game, you can level it up. I guess saying you can level up these different planets isn't the right term. You research different things that decide how the planets are run since you started ruling them. You have full reign as you reign. Don't worry, I hate myself too. But it's a nice touch to the game. Now, there are things that aren't that nice with it, some of the research topics. It may leave things empty at times. Also, there is a point in researching where you get to a big decision and you have to select one of 3 options. Once you select one of the selections, the others will lock out. You may get a short interactive story based on your decision. I do like the colony management system, but there is one thing I dislike, and that is when they require your attention. So when you're flying around, you will see that you have a mission next to your colony management button. You will have to fly back to this planet that requires your attention, which may force different scenarios with companions. Different scenarios with companions, or fights because you aren't going to all the warp paths too safe. So let's address what warp paths are and how they're different, and then continue about colonies. You have 3 different warp difficulties, which are dangerous, which could cause a bad event that could cause hull damage and some warp creatures coming to your ship that you have to fight. Then you have unsafe, which you can pretty much do the same. It may get some flavor attacks that people on your ship have died, and parts of your ship has been damaged, but everything has been fixed once you're back in real space. You have safe, which causes nothing, because it's safe. Now, in order to get safe 4 warp points, it's usually navigator points. Those are sparse since you only get them when you get to a new system and chart paths. It is a very weird system in my opinion because the warp battles in your ship get stale pretty fast, but it's easy XP. When it comes to these warp battles, you get options to fight the battles yourself, send your soldiers in so they can train, or just leave it be. Best choices are truthfully the first 2. but I lean more into the first option because I didn't like what happened when I left it to my soldiers. Back to colony management. I disliked it because you would travel all the way there just for a 5-minute interaction, then you forced back to make the voyage to where you actually wanted to go. I have a plan for my next playthrough that'll make this travel less painful. I wanted to save my navigator points and use them to create warp points, linking all the planets in my protectorate. But I don't know which way I want to do it. I use one system that chains them all, or I could just chain them all together. But I feel like doing the first one would be more useful. The reason for that is because if it would only take 2 warps to get to any of these systems, and I would never get the "you came too late" prompt ever again. That sadly will be for the next playthrough off stream, but I have no idea when I'll continue this playthrough since I started on my Steam Deck. I want to finish it there. I will do 2 different topics this next section, which is romance and companion quest, which can go hand in hand. So I briefly talked about romance, and truthfully, as annoying it as it was to romance the companion I did, it was so fulfilling once it was complete. Also said that you can romance as much companions as you want, and you get to learn more about them. The bad thing about learning so much about them and caring for them is that it hurts much more when you have to cut them off. Yes, you'll have to choose one person. It's a very anxious experience that hurts just to pick one, but you have to. And there will always be that lingering regret. I still regret not picking the other person in romance. I was still happy with the romance choice I picked. Even during the ending card, I was like, wow, I definitely regret picking them, but 5 seconds later, I retracted that statement. Also, don't expect the romance to hit you all at once. It's pretty slow and comes at unexpected points, so you just have to go along with the story before you will see the next addition to your love story. Also, just like any other important story and dialogue point, you can't just save scum this encounter, so hopefully you pick right. Or you get lucky and the game will auto-save a bit before this encounter to reroll. Companion quest is truthfully a highlight because it allows you to play the other characters you have neglected. It is also nice since some of the characters can have a higher characteristic than your current retinue, so you may be able to pass certain checks easier. I would say what my main retinue was, is going to believe that people haven't played the game, so we'll just give them weird names. Old, Blood, Shard, Big, and Noble. Makes no sense to anyone that hasn't played the game, but makes sense to anyone that have, or it should. Companion Quest allows you to learn more about a character without outright telling you. You get insight on what actions led them to be who they were, to learn from the people around them, which is an amazing way to use storytelling game. I kind of expected a good story anyway because I played and enjoyed Wrath of the Righteous. Quests are great because there aren't really a similar theme to them. You could say going to a system resolving conflict is a general theme of the game, but you do it in a different way. Yes, you do have different systems, fight things, resolve issues or create them, then go about your business in the expanse. The funny thing is, you could take half the time I took to beat the game if you just stuck to your missions, but what would be the fun of that? A lot of the quests can also shape your character depending on your choices, because your decision matters. The only thing to look out for are contracts and rumors, which are 2 things to do if you want resources. Rumors are things you hear as you're traveling around and usually can only be resolved by traveling to a specific point in the expanse. There are also rumors that can only be resolved by doing certain missions. Contracts you get from researching certain things in colony management, and you usually get resources for completing contracts. The game combat feels good, but feels like it could be better. I don't mean that is a failure. What I meant is that because this was my first time playing, I didn't know the best way to make my class pop more. But I would with more playthroughs and knowledge. You will still be able to do good damage in game, but I always felt like my attacks should hit harder. But I knew I made a mistake at some point of leveling. That means knowledge is essential at times to get the best out of a build, but I wouldn't redo a build again after I beat the game. I'll play the game differently a few times, and then try to build a character as OP to the point I won't shred everything. But who knows if that will happen, since I promised stuff for Wrath of the Righteous. And that hasn't happened. But overall, endgame combat is good, but it can feel stiff because the game only allows you to use your ult once. Once you use it, that is it for the rest of combat. I do want to see how my endgame cycle would fare against my Blade Dancer, but truthfully I feel like my Blade Dancer would win in damage because of attacking multiple times. Also, positioning for certain bosses are annoying because very few characters have a dash to get close to different enemies. I was lucky enough to find an item late game that gave me 2 charges of dash so I could gap close easier. Now yes, you have a leap that can gap close, but truthfully only get 1 after a kill. You get a lot more charges after using your ult. Since we discussed in-game content, let's talk about how I felt about this game. I liked it a lot, but also felt that there was a lot of discrepancies when it comes to what is good, what is bad. So the idea of Xenos being the big evil isn't really the best idea. The reason for that is because Xenos come in two forms, and that is Eldari and Drukhari. And the only thing that makes them similar to each other is their disdain for other beings. Again, wouldn't call either of them truly good, because Eldari wouldn't even try to come across humans, while Drukhari need dark emotions to survive, so they tend to attack and torture humans. So you looked at one for being evil, it would be the Drukhari, and not really their aura-loving cousins, the Eldari. So when I started this game, I didn't know what to expect. But streaming it was a different story. I knew a little bit, but that was thrown in his face once I bought the DLC. I played a new class and was able to be introduced to an interesting character that led me down the path for the blades. Just seeing the DLC was able to last so long into the story made me happy. Now, the biggest gripe I have, that you have to do your own voice acting at times, even though there are voice actors. I wouldn't be bothered if that only happened at certain points, but my voice was so trash after certain times of streaming. There is so much good information thrown at you that you need to read, and I wasn't really prepared for it. I'm happy I beat it so that my voice box could recover, but let's get on with an actual closing review. So the game itself is the best entry for someone that doesn't know what the Warhammer universe is. You're thrown into the game as someone that has nothing to do with being a road trader. You have to learn how to manage a ship with many different residents and compartments, and also manage different planets. You mold how you're perceived. That's amazing because you have all the power. Yes, every dialogue option is predetermined, but you choose it, and that is the key point. If you want to be an evil dictator, then you can. Just have fun and realize there are consequences for your actions. I had a lot of fun on Blade Dancer. I can elastic run. I'll definitely say try this game if you like CRPGs. It was something fun for me, and like I said, I have no background when it comes to Warhammer. It is the joy of discovering a new universe and finding what is something unique about the place they see just as mundane. Anyway, so I'm going to end the play, and I was happy with all 171 hours I played of this game and hope to have many more. Okay, this is going to be like an off topic, not really pertaining to the game. I'm going to try to lay some stuff in before we finish with this character creation screen in the background. I took a break from streaming for a bit because I needed to go out and go to work. I need to work, right? I biked to work throughout this whole week. So from Tuesday, I did a stream Monday. Then Tuesday, Friday, I literally went to work. Now, I did a crazy thing, which I wouldn't advise anybody to do. I feel fine. Like, I did hurt myself basically coming in on that Friday. Like, I ate shit. Like, I literally was so close to going, like, stepping in, but I, like, lifted my bike up and I fell. Like, I took a knee. I took a literal knee. I had, like, a little bit of scrapes on my knee. But I literally took a knee and my fucking chin hit my fucking phone because I have my phone on my, like, handlebar. And my chin just went straight there. And I was like, this is fun. And I just kind of walked back in while still carrying my stuff down the stairs. But I biked basically 22 miles a day to get to work, which means I biked for 2 hours and some change. Which again, I don't advise. It wasn't a hard thing to do. I think my upper body and my hands, like my wrist and my what's happening? My wrist and my hands hurt the most. So that was really my thing of getting to and fro, which I kind of hated, but I had to deal with it. That was really the worst thing. When it comes to just the aftermath, like stopping, I could not stand for that long. Like, it's hurt to stand. It wasn't like my actual body was in pain. Like, I would sit down for a bit and I had to have my legs spread out in order to do anything, which sucked ass. But we deal, right? We deal. Now, on to some better things, talking about the game more because I can be more unhinged, I guess, in my review. When it comes to this game, it is a very good game to play. Again, because of work, I've also talked to people about how they don't really like turn-based combat, which again, turn-based combat for me is probably the best thing when it comes to games. I love turn-based combat because you can see how many games I play is turn-based. And the reason why I like that because it's very much strategy output, right? It's very much strategy. Also, when it comes to turn-based combat, you can kind of decide what abilities you should use, which again is very important in this game. I also talked about how you have to be kind of smart and kind of bordered on saying you should min-max, which truthfully speaking, min-maxing is how you start the game because you have to choose a home world, which is kind of what you start min-maxing because it helps you out, kind of build your character. And truthfully, you should know what home world you're picking before you even pick your origin, before you pick your archetype. But truthfully speaking, I don't really give a fuck if you don't. Because I want you to enjoy this game and not think about min-maxing as a thing. Because min-maxing is so fucking annoying and garbage that I would rather you focus on everything else. Also, am I talking? There's no way. Okay, that was a total. I think something was wrong with my model that day, which is why my mouth wasn't moving. Because I was looking at this recording. I was like, "Dude, why is my mouth not moving?" Like, let's. This is my content, so I can fucking play audio if I want to. Sorry for clicking. I don't know what's happening. 30, and my background. I don't have my headphones in, so I have no idea. My class, my archetype. Yeah, there's something wrong with the audio. I don't know what's wrong. Not the audio, but my mother model needs like. Sometimes it just fucks up, but whatever. But yeah, this game is fun. This game is a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot. Like I said, if I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't have played 171 hours of it. Like I think the next game or the game before I played this game, I only spent like 3 hours. Like I can actually show you right now that there was another game before here. Right, this is a completely different game. I forgot the name of the game, but it's a completely different game. It was like a Morals of Avalon, whatever. I could not play that game. Like how long did I play this game for? Like maybe an hour or two. Yeah, it took me 3 hours. And I couldn't, because at a certain point, like I realized, like the game itself could not be. I don't remember where we were. Oh gosh, I skipped ahead. Also, I realized that none of this is like none of my none of my Warhammer playthrough is published, so nobody's gonna see it. I'm gonna probably publish them all and make a folder for Warhammer later on. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this game. It is a fun game for me. I can't just say it's going to be an amazing game for anybody else. Like, I don't know. Because if you don't like CRPGs, if you don't like turn based games, you're not going to enjoy this game. If you played Wrath of Rights or Kingmaker, you like the game, you're probably not going to like this game. If you like Warhammer, and you're not really somebody who's ever played a CRPG, I definitely say try it because you can get a lot more. No, you can't play a Space Marine, so, well, at least I don't think you can. The route I went definitely wasn't a Space Marine route, but for the choice you get in game, there's no real Space Marine type of way to do that. But I would definitely say to try the game if you like if you like to play story based games, if you like to play any game that has kind of some type of turn-based aspect, or where you can kind of customize how you play essentially. Like I isn't right. I don't like any type of like city builder type of game, which this game isn't a city builder, even though again you do have your protectorates, you have your planets, where you have to make sure they're running well and you decide their fate as long as deciding how you are perceived through the world. But again, it's you have so much things to do in this game that it makes it fun. That kind of like hits all those boxes. But yeah, that's really all I really want to do to chime in a bit and tell you about my week, how I spent my week, how I spent how I rode 88 miles this week, which it definitely was more because I definitely went through some some roads and made mistakes. And listen, Google Maps sucks sometimes, but that's all I really wanted to inform you about. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed my review and walk down memory lane of when I streamed this game. My name is Only the Incubus, and that is my time. Later days. Love you all. Mwah. Sending you all the kisses. But consensual kisses. But love you all. Peace. Bye.